guys, let's get started. I'm using this Kiehls Ultra Facial Overnight Hydrating Mask. I want to make sure I'm going to hydrate my skin very well because I am about to put my skin through torture, trying out all these different Halloween makeup products. So hydrating the skin is very important. Here I'm using a crafter's glue stick to basically flatten down my brows. I've seen a lot of people use this throughout tutorials to basically flatten down, glue down their brows down to their head. And I am doing this little by little, but I will tell you this is probably the last time I'll be using a glue stick, because when I looked back at the actual stick, I saw like 4 or 5 hairs. It does rip your hair off. So somebody like me who doesn't have a lot of hair, I don't really suggest it. So I ended up discontinuing to use this because I need my brow hairs. Here I'm using a Wet n Wild white kohl liner. It's an eyeliner, but I'm using this to basically trace out the hollows of my eyes, and just basically to carve out the eyes and the nose as well. And it's great to use this because it's just very easy to remove if you do make a mistake. So the first thing I tried was this foundation from Bobbi Brown in the color Porcelain, which is a 0, and I mixed it with this cream makeup from the Halloween store. I mixed the two, and you will see me apply it, and you will see that there's lots of streaks from the brush. I did not edit anything out. I wanted to show you guys how much trial and error it did take to make this video, because I did try a bunch of different methods and a lot of them didn't work, but because I kept trying, I ended up finding something that did work. But this is definitely one that didn't work. I even tried getting just the Halloween white paste, and I tried using the beauty blender since the brush was creating a lot of lines, and it still was not working. The beauty blender was picking up a lot of product. And now for the best thing that I did discover and tried is my L'Oreal Infallible Total Cover. You guys know that I use this a lot throughout my tutorials. It is definitely something that I love. Really, it's up there in one of my favorite drugstore items. The purple cancels out dullness, so it did create kind of like that barrier to erase the color of my complexion, so that when I do put the white, it creates a very opaque look. And this Infallible Total Cover in purple was a lifesaver. And now I'm gonna try the white cream makeup from the Halloween store by itself without the foundation on top. And again, I had to take it off so I can show you guys it didn't work. I even tried this Wet n Wild pinwheel that I never use. I've had it in my makeup drawer, and I tried that on top. Another fail. It just did not work. It was coming out very blotchy. It wasn't smooth, and as you can tell, it's not smooth, and it was you could still see the skin peeking through. It didn't give me that opaque look that I was looking for. And now for the other star of the show is this NYX Jumbo Pencil in Milk. It's definitely a classic in everyone's makeup collection. I just can't believe how incredible this worked. And I don't know what made me think of doing this, because obviously you're only drawing very thin strokes, but it was worth every single moment because it ended up becoming so opaque, and it was easy to blend out with a brush. You could go over some bare spots if needed, but in the end, this was the best. And I felt like if I was, like, let's say out on the night and I was sweating, it was not gonna come off. It really felt really stuck to the face, and I also liked that because I knew that it wasn't gonna smudge or, you know, go all over the place. In the end, all the tools that I used was stuff that I already had in my makeup collection, just very basic things that I think people in most makeup collection, if you're a big makeup junkie like myself or a makeup artist, you definitely own these tools. And that was, to me, the best part of creating this tutorial. I bought stuff for it and I didn't end up using a single thing. I ended up using stuff that I already had. Here I'm using a very small angled precise brush so that I can get really good into the little corners and the areas of my nose. For my eyeshadow primer, I am using the soft ochre from MAC. It's the Pro Longwear Paint Pot eyeshadow primer. It was excellent because I was really glad I ended up using this because it has that yellow tint to it, the yellow undertone, which helped a lot since I was using gold for the eyes. I feel like I found the perfect gold for this tutorial. This is the Morphe palette 24A, and I used this gold right here. The best part about this look, trying out this look, was there was absolutely no fallouts. I did use this brush right here. It's just basically a small concealer brush, and I was able to apply the shadow. The shadow is almost like a cream base, so it was absolutely perfect. There was no fallouts whatsoever, and the color was just perfect. And here I'm using a brow angled brush to create the nose and to shade it in with the gold. Here I'm using Nars Eye Paint, which is basically a gel liner called Transvaal, with this Real Techniques brush, a real thin pencil brush to draw the teeth. And this combination was like perfect because I wanted to use something that had a gray undertone. I didn't want to use any black I wanted everything to look very much like the skeleton, just very, very light, very gray, nothing very harsh. And this eye paint was perfect for that because it is gray. And this tool was perfect too because you can draw very, very thin strokes. And the teeth were not that easy. I did have to do them a couple times. There was a few times that I had to erase it and start all over. I wanted to make sure that I was doing them in the right size. The best suggestion that came to me in describing how I did the teeth, I just did the lines, you know, I pictured where my teeth are underneath my lips. So I basically traced that, and notice how I'm doing like little corners, almost like how you would draw a house. You know, when you draw a house, you're doing the roof and it has like a little corner at the top, and that's basically how I did it. Here I'm using a Urban Decay palette, the Jean Michel Basquiat palette that they came out with not too long ago. It has this really pretty gray tone. I don't know why I couldn't find a real good gray shadow in my collection. I wanted something a little bit lighter, but I ended up blending this out and making it look a lot softer than it did in the palette. So I wanted to do the shading in between the teeth. Again, a gray tone. And I was not filming. I apologize. My camera did die out on me. Basically, I'm just doing that same, what is it, the Real Techniques brush and another eyebrow angled brush. I'm using those two back and forth. I'm drawing the lines with, again, that same eye paint from Nars in that gray tone. And I'm basically using another brow brush to blend it out to make it more diffused so it's not so harsh and like somewhat a little bit smudged. The troubles that I had with doing this was I didn't want it to look like it was a cracked skull. At first it was looking like that, but I kept looking back at the skull that I own, and you know, I wanted to really manipulate the marble effect. And it did take me some tries, but I figured it out. I knew how to, you know, basically use my tool and how to blend out the harsh lines. But you'll notice that after all the harsh lines are blended out, I went actually back with the gray tone and just did very small amount of gray lines without blending those out, just to give it that marble effect. And it did take a lot of tries, but I think I ended up managed getting it right. So as you see here that I am actually drawing the lines, and these lines that I'm adding at the very end, I'm not going to blend those out. And I think that that's what gave it that effect at the end, to give it that marble effect that really helped out. This pretty much concludes this tutorial. I actually have one more Halloween look that I plan to record for you guys. Let me know if you guys like this video. Please give it a thumbs up, share it, and don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next video. Thank you guys for watching.